Have you ever met someone who demands special treatment and then absolutely earns the consequences? Because tonight's story is about a woman who spent an entire evening humiliating a brand new waiter, throwing her weight around, name-dropping her job, and acting like she owned the restaurant. What she didn't know was that this restaurant ran on reputation, not advertisements, that management protected their staff fiercely, and that by the end of the night, she'd experienced the loudest, most painful happy birthday of her life, right before a phone call that may have ended her career. Hey, I'm Lizzie, and I share real-life stories where entitlement meets instant karma. If you enjoy stories like this, where rude behavior actually gets checked, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. You won't want to miss what happens next. All right, let's get into it. Back in 2015, before my knees hated me and caffeine was basically in full drip, I was putting myself through nursing school by waiting tables. The restaurant I worked at was different. We didn't advertise. No billboards, no radio ads, no coupons shoved into mailboxes. The place survived purely on reputation. We're a mouth only. The kind of spot where regulars felt protective of it, and management took behavior, especially staff behavior, very seriously. If you embarrassed the restaurant, you didn't last long. By the time this story takes place, I'd been there a few months. Long enough to know the menu inside and out, long enough that managers trusted me, and long enough that I was unofficially assigned to help brand new servers once they were released from formal training. Not a trainer on paper, but if someone was drowning, I was usually the one throwing them a life raft. Which brings us to him. He was older than most of us, fresh out a rough chapter in life, and very clearly nervous about messing up. Polite, soft-spoken, double-checked everything. Honestly, exactly the kind of coworker you want on the floor. That night was his first shift running a full section by himself. And unfortunately for him, the universe decided to test him immediately. He was assigned a section right next to mine, which made it easy for me to keep an eye on him. I knew weeds were coming. First solo shift always goes that way. So I was already mentally prepared to help run food, refill drinks, smooth things over, whatever he needed. What I wasn't prepared for was the table that sat down in his section. 6 people, early 20s, loud energy, the kind of group that walks in already annoyed, like the restaurant personally inconvenienced them by existing. A few minutes after greeting them, he came over to me looking rattled. "They're asking for something that isn't on the menu," he said. "She says we have the ingredients and that the other location makes it all the time. Do we?" Now, yes, this would have been a great teaching moment about boundaries. But first solo shift, nerves are fragile, and I could see panic setting in. So I told them to check with the kitchen. If they were willing, fine. If not, I'd help handle the table. The cook shrugged. It was basically a wrap. Easy enough. Green light. That should have been the end of it. It wasn't. From that moment on, every single time he approached the table, the same woman, the clear ringleader, found something else she needed. He'd drop off one item. "Oh, and can I get?" He'd return with that. "Actually, I also need." Every single time. No please. No sorry. No acknowledgement that he was running an entire section alone. I watched his face every time he came back to the server station. Wide eyes, shallow breaths, that look of someone trying very hard not to crumble in public. So I did what I could. I quietly took over helping his other tables. Ran food, checked drinks, bought him breathing room, gave him nods and reassurance whenever our paths crossed. I even pulled him aside at one point and gently prepared him for the possibility that the difficult table might stiff him. "It happens," I told him. "It's not a reflection of you, and I won't touch tips from your other tables." He nodded, but I could tell it wasn't just about the money. This woman was breaking him down. The group had come in late, close to closing time, and of course they lingered. Eventually, they became the last table in our entire section. That's when he came back to me again, clearly uncomfortable. "They're asking about employee discounts," he said. "They want to use more than one on the same ticket. Is that allowed?" I blinked. Employee discount. Turns out, during the entire meal, the ringleader had been tearing him apart verbally. She told him she was a trainer at another location. She told him he was the worst server she had ever seen. She mocked his mistakes, his speed, his confidence. And now suddenly everything clicked. why she felt entitled to off-menu items, why she demanded constant attention, why she acted like she owned the place. She also claimed there were multiple birthdays at the table and demanded free desserts and the birthday song. Immediately. At that point, I was vibrating with rage. This poor man, who was twice my age, looked like he might quit on the spot. And I was done being polite. I told him to prep the cakes, but not to bring them out yet. I went straight to the front-end manager. Now, our managers were unicorns. Supportive, protective. They trusted us, and we trusted them. I explained everything quickly. The harassment, the false claims, the employee discounts, the behavior. His jaw tightened. Remember how I said the restaurant relied entirely on reputation? Yeah, he was not okay with someone who worked in the same company treating staff like that, especially someone claiming to be a trainer. I asked if I could do something a little extra. He smiled. Go ahead, he said. I'll handle the rest. And then he picked up the phone. While the manager made some very important calls, I went to work. I grabbed every employee I could find. Servers, hosts, bussers, even a dishwasher who was just finishing up. I gave him the fastest rundown possible. Problem table, abusive behavior, fake entitlement. We're about to sing. Everyone was in. When the server came back out with the cakes, we were ready. We lined up in the corner where the table sat. And then, we sang. Not politely, not cheerfully, not at a normal volume. We screamed that birthday song. The acoustics were perfect, corner table, empty section, sound bouncing back at full force. It was long. It was loud. It was unavoidable. Their smug smiles vanished instantly. Hands flew to ears. People flinched. The energy shifted from superiority to panic in seconds. It was glorious. What they didn't know was that while we were happily destroying eardrums, management was destroying careers. Our manager had called her manager. Employee number verified. Behavior reported. General manager looped in. She didn't get a single discount. In fact, she was handed the phone at the host stand, and I watched as her confidence crumbled into tears while she tried to explain why she shouldn't be fired. Too late. Actions have consequences. I don't know what happened after that night. Maybe she talked her way back into a job somewhere. Maybe not. Why do know is this? She tried to bully someone on his first night. She tried to abuse her perceived power. And instead, she got the loudest birthday of her life and a call she'll never forget. And honestly, if I had to choose again between hearing those phone calls or screaming that song, I'd still sing. Every time. At the end of the day, this story isn't really about a birthday song or a restaurant shift. It's about how easy it is to forget that power, real or imagined, doesn't give you permission to treat people like they're less than human. That woman thought her job title made her untouchable. She thought humiliating someone on their first night was acceptable. And she never stopped to consider that the way you treat people when you think no one is watching is exactly who you are. Because here's the thing. Most workplaces will forgive mistakes, but they won't forgive cruelty. And sometimes, the best lessons don't come from yelling or arguing. They come from consequences you never saw coming. So I'm curious, what do you think? Was the response justified, or did it go too far? Have you ever witnessed someone abuse a little bit of power and actually face karma for it? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read them all. And if you enjoyed this story, make sure you're subscribed, because there are plenty more where this came from. Bye.